Generator Rex, a series about a transforming teen superhero. Not to be confused with Ben 10, another show also done by Man of Action. Where it differs is while Ben fights aliens, Rex fights exponentially variegated organisms. What I will be going over in the video is what Generator Rex is about, and my thoughts on the first season. Everything I use is under the terms of fair use and all that other YouTube gobbledygook, and I'll do my best to avoid spoilers. I'm Mr. J, and make way to start the revolution. Generator Rex is about the adventures of Rex Salazar. He's your average mixed ethnicity's 16-year-old, though where the similarities end is who Rex is. You see, he can generate various metal constructs from his body at will. Oh, and he has amnesia. This whole situation Rex is in was brought about by the nanite event, a catastrophic explosion that released countless underdeveloped and incomplete nanites into the atmosphere and infected every living thing on the planet. The term exponentially variegated organism, or EVO for short, is the term given to a living creature that has currently active nanites. When the nanites in a living organism activate, they mutate the host into a dangerous creature. They're broken up into several categories: human, animal, arthropod, plant, incurable, and virus. To clear up some confusion, human-like EVOs retain their appearance as long as they don't activate their nanites. Incurables have had their nanites evolve past being able to be cured, and virus EVOs latch onto microscopic organisms and build a symbiosis with the host. The other three don't really need an explanation. They become mindless, violent animals. So kind of like your average Twitter user. Getting back on track, the nanites in an organism activate at random, and the mutations vary from host to host. The hope in this crazy situation is that Rex has the ability to deactivate and extract the nanites in a host, effectively returning the host into their original state. Rex, with his ability to cure EVOs, works with Providence, a military-like organization that works to kill, contain, and cure EVOs. He works alongside various people at Providence, such as Agent 6, a senior agent at Providence, and Rex's caretaker, Bobo, an EVO chimp with human-level intelligence, who is both his best friend and sidekick. Dr. Rebecca Holliday, the lead scientist at Providence, due to her experience with nanotechnology, and alongside Six, ensures the safety and well-being of Rex. Noah Nixon, one of Rex's other friends, who is one of the few who tags along with him on missions. And White Knight, the leader of Providence, who is the only nanite-free person on the planet, and has a mysophobia-like fear of them. Rex's archenemy is Van Cleis, a British scientist and EVO who has a negative perception of Providence, and tries coaxing Rex to his side with the promise of telling him more about his past. And to further add to the evil villain energy, Cleis lives in a castle along with his minions, and is technically the ruler of his own country. And the most key part of the information you'll need to know is, when Rex isn't sneaking out with Bobo for a taco run, or being swayed by his hormones, he's on missions with Six and Holiday to find a cure for the nanites and save everyone who hasn't mutated from the EVOs running rampant, as well as occasionally looking for answers into his past while on missions. So for Rex, it's a normal day at the office at Providence. Alright, now that I'm moving into thoughts, I have my praises and my criticisms of the first season. You may ask, why the first season? Well, two reasons. One, going over the entirety of Generator Rex as I am now is going to be too much on my plate, and I can't handle that much responsibility. And two, I'd rather go over each season separately to avoid accidentally glossing over any key details, so I can present the improvements between each season. This also falls in line with a tidbit of wisdom that my father has taught me. How do you eat an elephant? In small bites. I'll start by getting my criticisms out of the way, because I'm more of a bad news first, good news second kind of guy. Least problematic thing on the list first is the jokes and the sound effects. When used right, the application of comedy and sound effects can relieve tension and lighten the current mood. Unfortunately, most of them weren't used in the right place or time over the course of the first season. While a few of the jokes landed, others did not, and it pulled me out of the mood Generator Rex was trying to set. I can understand when a protagonist cracks jokes to alleviate the fear and unrest they feel when things are beyond okay with their lives. But when a protagonist is constantly throwing jokes or one-liners without a clear understanding of the tone, it becomes grating or downright groan-worthy listening to the dialogue. What also doesn't help is that Generator Rex has some unneeded cartoon sound effects. To clarify, not all of them are bad, but if they were used in a different situation and context, I'd be laughing at most of them. Instead, I was sitting down confused at why they threw in a generic bounce or thwack. In the broader sense of Season 1, the usage of certain sound effects and presentation of some jokes didn't sit right with me, and instead caused me to stop the episode so I could refocus my attention on the story. The one exception is I can roll with the Wilhelm scream. Listening to that while Providence agents get picked off once in a while is funny in its own twisted kind of way. Next up, they could have handled a few episodes better. There's My Best Friend isn't really who they seem. Everyone cheers for the turd of an antagonist, and the protagonist goes through the in-universe academy. I couldn't tell you what other episodes someone would have problems with, but these episodes were a pain to sit through. The concepts aren't bad. The problem is with the way the episodes Lockdown, The Hunter, and Basic handled the material. Lockdown could have explored the revelation of the fragile friendship between Rex and Noah. The Hunter could have built up a cohesive antagonist, or begrudgingly helpful anti-hero for Rex to fight or team up with. And Basic could have expanded upon Rex building a fond respect for Providence and the soldiers he works with. My problem with these 3 episodes is that they present a net loss to build upon and improve the story in a meaningful and interesting way. Lastly, I can enjoy a good amnesia-riddled protagonist, but I didn't really get much of that from the first season. It didn't feel like enough time was dedicated to that subplot. We only get 3 episodes that go over his amnesia, and I didn't feel like I got any closer to the meat of the conflict. We know Rex has amnesia, and he accepts that he has it. The problem is we don't go any further than that. Yes, Van Cleis knows his past, but he doesn't exactly lead Rex on into asking more questions. He goes, "Oh, you don't know your past? Well, I do. Ta-ta, Rex!" And then makes like a tree and leaves. When we actually get an episode that teases at Rex's past, it doesn't tread any further than a few feet in the shallow end. Listen, I won't get mad at a superhero action series for trying to add something different. But I will get frustrated when a series doesn't leave a coaxing trail of subplot breadcrumbs towards a satisfying payoff. I hope that Season 2 either gives me more breadcrumbs to work with, or a satisfying conclusion to Rex's amnesia. Forgive me if I'm actually missing anything for the amnesia subplot, because in my brain it's going, amnesia subplot go brrr. Of course, this doesn't mean I don't have any nice things to say about Generator Rex. My favorite thing about Generator Rex is how it sets up the threat of exponentially variegated organisms. They aren't just a cut, copy, and paste antagonist. The EVOs come in various shapes and sizes, and are the result of nanites reacting to each organism differently. The enemies Rex has to usually fight are either people who have lost control of themselves and are acting on base instinct, or mindless animals that, regardless of his ability to cure, cannot be helped. Even when it's a person who has either retained their sanity or mental facilities, it's still a challenge for Rex, as it's a person with superhuman abilities. It's something different, a welcome dynamic and concept to the realm of entertainment. Next up is Rex's abilities. I am being completely honest when I say I'm a sucker for protagonists who can create giant metal appendages, or anything of the sort. The perpetual 12-year-old who resides in my soul has a field day watching Rex sprout giant metal arms and go to town on the bad guys. He can also speak with technology through his nanites. Alright folks, look, this is a peak character ability roster. I can't argue with perfection. Lastly, credit where credit is due. Season 1 of Generator Rex can have some really somber and horror-inducing moments. The episodes String Theory, The Architect, Frostbite, Breach, Gravity, and Plague all perfectly present that sentiment. These episodes show that the nanites have the ability to instill fear and danger into the public. Just one organism mutating into an EVO can set forth a dangerous chain of events that can lead to an entire city or the world being at risk. The mere mention of an EVO attack or outbreak is enough to drive the public into a paranoid frenzy. These 6 episodes, while telling completely different stories, hold the same weight and energy that the EVO threat is a very real and very dangerous situation. Generator Rex presents that while the nanite event is a cool concept, it also has its deeply unsettling and disturbing sides to the conflict. It's always interesting when a series tackles the seedier elements of an idea instead of making everyone think that everything is squeaky clean. The first season of Generator Rex, in my opinion, has its faults, which a couple of them might be nitpicks, yes, but is a strong first season. Looking past the few slightly grating jokes and the odd choice of sound effects, Generator Rex has some really serious and heartfelt moments that more than make up for it. The concept is something welcome and refreshing. The antagonists are varied and unique. The soundtrack is boppin'. And when the story stops to tell something meaningful, it strikes a strong chord at its best moments. If you're in the mood for a superhero action show with a helping of horror and a dash of mystery sprinkled in, then I recommend sitting down with a few episodes of Generator Rex. Don't worry, I'll talk about Season 2. That video is in the pipeline. In the meantime, hit me up with a series you guys recommend in the comments. I want to spill my heart and explain my critical thoughts. And you want entertainment. Therefore, it's a win-win situation. Oh, before I end the video, I almost forgot. My favorite character is Gatlock. He's a British cyborg who leads a group of modern-day pirates. He has that sort of charm and charisma that makes him a lovable villain that you hate to love and love to hate. I can't wait to see more of Gatlock in the future. I hope he becomes a reoccurring antagonist. He also has one rule: no swearing. I think adult animation could learn a lesson from this, but that, like everything, is another story for another time. I'm Mr. J, telling you to have a day.